Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar, MeshroomVR, VR accessible to all. The mission of MeshroomVR is to make the use of virtual reality accessible to all departments in the company. Meshroom Studio Pro allows industry professionals to visualize and present scale one-to-one 3D projects in VR in the most hyper-realistic and autonomous manner. In this webinar, you will explore MeshroomVR's Pro major features, a treat for the eyes, believe me. Today's webinar presenter, André Doumenc, is co-founder and CEO of MeshroomVR. He has a background in urban systems and mechanical engineering. And after teaching transport design at university for 4 years, he worked in product and transportation design. And then with the democratization of virtual reality headsets, he decided to partner up with Christophe Kohler to create MeshroomVR, which was officially launched in March 2018. So brand new product and, this at the edge of the latest technology. And let me tell you a little bit now about Novedge, what we do. Novedge is one of the largest online stores for design software. We have a huge assortment of software solutions that caters to virtually every designer's needs. So you can see this is the page where we display Meshroom Studio Pro. And you're welcome to come to Novedge.com, check it out, and browse around for any product companion that you can think of. And for more daily software news and limited time promotions, you can visit the Novedge blog and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. And I want to remind you that this webinar, it's going to be recorded, so you can watch it again on Vimeo and YouTube. And sorry, we're not there yet, but we will be at the end. So I'm going to share Andre's screen, and so you can take it from here. There you go, Andre. Looking forward to watch your beautiful presentation. I was very lucky to try MeshroomVR for myself, and let me tell you, amazing. Okay, Andre, take it away.
Hello, hello everyone. I'm André, and as it is a bit noticed right now, I'm from France, and I'm very happy to be with you during this whole presentation. I think we will try to see together how easy it can be to import a 3D file into virtual reality from any CAD software, and how realistic it can look like with the use of MeshroomVR. Just to present a little bit of company, Meshroom has been built about 2.5 years ago. During the first time we've tested the HTC Vive, which was the first headset accessible to all, and with a very accurate way to check the volumes and the realistic feel of the volumes. And then because actually I was a car designer and a product designer before, and then we started this company in order to make the use of virtual reality accessible to all. So just for a few seconds, I will tell you a bit about our vision, and then we will directly see the features of this software. So what is MeshroomVR? MeshroomVR is software which is the simplest software on the market to import your 3D files. So any kind of files which are mesh files, 3D objects from CATIA, SolidWorks, Maya, any kind of software, you just need to export it in triangles, and then we will import it directly in Meshroom, and we're going to see how simple it is. So it's a very, very simple software with a very intuitive interface, and the goal of it is to have no learning curve, because the problem in our society is that we have no time left for doing anything. So people who want to check, to validate things, don't want to learn a very heavy program. They just want it to work directly and to feel that they're clever and smart, to be able to use it without any notice, without any kind of learning. The second point of Mushroom is it's extremely fast. You're gonna see when you will try it, because there is a trial version on the net, and if you want to try it, you can go through Novedge and ask for a trial. You're gonna see that the importer is extremely fast in compare with other softwares. For instance, we got some files who are 10 times faster to open than with other softwares. So you're gonna see that with Mushroom, you will lose no time in exporting and importing your files. It's going to be very quick because we only conserve all the interesting data, and we lighten all the other data that are not useful for VR. So, well, you have to try and to compare with other software to see how fast it is. The other way to make it faster is not only the way the engine works, it's also the interface. Which is super fast to use too, fast to learn, fast to discover, but also fast to use with many drag and drop elements. For instance, you can drag and drop your files to import them, and then you will be able to drag and drop your materials, your HDR, everything. And the third point is that Mushroom is very realistic. A very important thing is realism, because people who check or validate or give their opinion on a project are sometimes people who are not used to use 3D CAD files with maybe toon shade renders. So they need some accurate things to get more realistic and to feel deeply as something real. So we think that realism is something which is key in terms of virtual reality validation. So that's why we're working a lot on creating the best rendering possible, and it's all real time as you can figure, because to get in VR, we need to create more than 90 frames per second, whereas in any kind of other renderers, you can afford like minutes or hours to create one image, and we need 90 of them. So this is the other point. It needs to be very realistic. The other key point of having a very realistic thing is that people who are not used to work with 3D, like operators, are going to get inside the VR very quickly. They can figure that they are in real life, and so they're not disrupted by the non-realism of the things. They don't feel like in a video game. They just feel in a working environment. So that's a very important thing for us. Just two words about two main categories of our clients, because at the very beginning, this software was made for, well, designer as I am, because we make the best products for ourselves. For designers, very simple. It's just drag and dropping the 3D file that we are creating, and then it's going to be checking the models and the shapes and design at scale 1. And it's a super cool tool just for you, just to check your design, but also to communicate with your clients. So it's a key program for industry designers who want to talk with their boss, with their design managers, to check the volumes, and then to the final customers, so the clients. And the other main typology of clients that we have is the industrials who want to validate at scale 1 also the production lines, but also the factories. So the kind of use case that we have is an industrial manager who wants to create a new production lines, and he wants the advices of his workers, of his line operators. So he can add to the project the people who are the most competent in terms of IDs and validation, who are those line operators. But right now, as they are not really compatible because they don't have any kind of skills, of 3D skills, they can't say anything. Whereas right now, it's perfectly understandable by them, and with no learning curve, they can join a meeting, they can see in virtual reality the production line and say, oh, this panic button is too high, or this little table it's too far from my hand, or little details like that. So I think maybe we can close this little presentation with a few clients that we have. So those are big companies, but we also have many SMEs who are working with us, and it's clearly our goal is to generalize VR in industry. So even if we have many big accounts that are working with us right now because of the simplicity of the software and because of the fact that anyone into the company can use the software. It's a super cool collaboration tool because we're going to see that we also have a multi-user mode. Oh, I think the screen is not here anymore. Okay, sorry. We definitely have some problems of streaming. But so we have big accounts, but we also have very small companies, but also medium companies who are working with Meshroom because they see that they win a lot, they save a lot of money with validating their products instead of prototyping them. So maybe just to end this little show, I'd like to say that we'll be at the CES this year, and we are proud to be once more nominated and honorary as CES Innovation Awards. And so if you are at CES, don't hesitate and go through a booth, and we'll be glad to talk with you. So now after this little presentation, maybe the most interesting will be to begin with this software. To introduce you a little bit the software, I'd like to begin the demo with the first importation of objects. So now that Meshroom is launched, I click on New Project. I'm selecting the 3D file that my designer or that my engineer has provided me. So I drag and drop it into Meshroom. And then I will just follow the lead of this little menu bar who's going to show me the way during the whole process. So there's a big object with millions of polygons, and you're going to see how fast it is. It's already done. So click on Next, and I have to prepare my file just to put it at the right direction. If it was not at the right position, I rotate it, and then I correct the scale. So this is the right scale, but if it wasn't, for instance, like that or like that, we got some algorithm who calculate all the errors that can be made during the modelization. And when you send a file, people doesn't know which was your program that you've been building the object with, so you may contain some errors. So now that the scale is set up properly, because as you can imagine, in virtual reality, the scale is crucial, it's very fundamental. Then we will add some materials to make it more realistic. So maybe to begin with this, we're gonna add a cool color. This on your right is the Meshroom material library. So I will open the car paint, and just after selecting my carrosserie, my body, I will put this color here. There, let's add a bit of carbon. You can see if I'm doing some close-up, that's the carbon fiber is very clean. I can change a little bit my color. On this special model, it was well prepared by maybe technical artists or designers, but sometimes you don't have all those logos, or the file appears with some tune-shed colors, like all the glasses in blue, and the body parts in green, and all the wheels in I don't know, all the colors. But it works all the same way. You just need for having good results to separate your files in different colors. So in your CAD software, you just need to say that, for instance, all the glasses parts needs to be of one color, all the body parts are on another color, and it's going to be very easy. So I will add some rubber here and there, and you see the car beginning to look like something realistic more and more. The metal here, the chrome. Okay, that looks cool. And let's add this little light here. Okay. So we've seen now that it's very simple to drag and drop some materials. So the first way to do it is to select and then to select the color. Okay. And the other one is just to take a color and move it on the right part that you want to put into a realistic materials. So here we are. And then a bit further, we'll see how to create materials. But now that we have created this model, imported it, and corrected the scale, rotation, and added some good materials, just click on HDR mode. We will select, for instance, this castle here, and we'll be able to put this nice car into this realistic environment. So this is an HDR environment. So in Meshroom, you can add whatever kind of environment. For instance, I click here on those environments. You can see that I have many HDR. You can download them on the internet, or you also can take your own HDR pictures. Just drag and drop that here, and then you will be able to see your model here inside. So, for instance, I can change my HDR here. Waiting, processing. Okay, so this is the way it works. But let's get back to this first one. Okay. We have to turn the environment, put it straight, okay, and just click on VR mode. I hope that with all the crash that we had on the internet, it doesn't affect the headset. Let's see. So here we are. So I'm right here, right in front of my car. What you see now is something maybe flat, but in my headset, it's totally in volume. It's a very nice Bugatti at scale 1, just right in front of me. And it's very impressive to teleport and to move around this object just to see perfectly its proportion. For instance, so I just push on the big button, and I would teleport automatically in this little circle. So it's the way it works to move around an object. I can also grab with this little trigger here, grab my object and move it. So here, okay, to see close looks. I also can move freely into the environment. For instance, now I'm kneeling in order to see in detail this nice wheel. So I will move the front and I can see the detail at scale 1. And so it's a bit frustrating point for people who are just watching a webinar of virtual reality, is that you don't see really what I'm seeing right now in my headset, which is the very key point of Meshroom, is seeing at first gaze the elements. And now that we have made the review, because here we can see the real proportion, and with what is very interesting with those elements that I got in my hands, those controllers, is that our brain is just seeing them as the last tool that I have in my hand. So it's like something that makes me feel real in virtual reality, and I can perfectly feel the distances and the proportion of what I'm seeing thanks to those controllers. So if I want to do other things, for instance, I can push on this menu bar. I can take some picture inside the VR. For instance, we're talking about a little detail that is not good on this wheel. I don't know, so I can take a little picture here. I move there, and I can say, okay, we have to like this angle of view. Then we also can take measures. It's very important in many cases. Just see, okay, maybe the body feels very low. I can say that I like it to a bit higher, so it could be this size. I can also move the object. So in case of a product like that, it's not very useful, but if you've got very small products, you can manipulate them and move it up and down. And in case of production line validation, you can move it up and down and set it to the right position. And there are also other options like this elevator, which is very, very useful if you've got several floors on your 3D objects, because Meshroom also works perfectly with very, very big objects like buildings, houses, or because I see many clients in naval industry, so for boats. So here we are back on the floor, and I also will be able to manipulate the colors and the material here in virtual reality. So let's say, for instance, I got here some cool material library. Take this bit here, put it here. I can move the colors. I also can grab a color here. Okay, that we got to put it here, and I will move this color. And as you see, I can trigger with this circle exactly the color that I want and to check my combo here, my combo of color on the model. I just have to push this little blue button and here and back into the real scale. So that's it. So I think it's about for virtual reality. Nice. So now that we've seen how it works in virtual reality, I propose you to go a bit deeper into the process and the features that we have to do all the things in Meshroom. If I didn't speak at all, you would have seen that in maybe 20 seconds, you would have imported your file. Then in 20 or 30 seconds, you would have made your material selections. And within 1 minute, you had a perfectly imported CAD file in virtual reality in the coolest environments that you have here with the relevant materials. So it's very fast, it's very intuitive, and everybody can use it. So now we will see some bit more deeper features like material creation, which is a key feature because as you've seen, there is a cool library with the most common material that people need. So for people who have zero intention to learn about Meshroom, it's useful and it's enough. But for people who want to make maybe more accurate work, and if some of you are designer, I think they will love it, or maybe marketing teams, but also people who want to make realistic their plans, their fabric. And it's crucial, as we said, if operators see something which looks very real for them, it's going to be more accurate to validate the project that they have to validate. So create a new project, another one, and let's see what happens when I hit this multi-body object. So this is very interesting because the multi-body object allows you to import several parts separately. So here we will open a new object, which is the chair, which has two components actually. The first one was the chair, and the other one is what I call the foot chair. So I put it straight. So this is the chair part, and this is the foot chair part. So we'll see that we'll be able to manipulate separately those two different objects, and then we will be able to animate them in virtual reality. So that's a super cool option and very useful. I put it on the right scale. And now I need to apply my realistic materials. And to begin with, I will put some leather here. Okay. I don't know if this is accurate for you here, but on my screen it's nice. I put some metal here. Take this and put some here. That's all the rubber. It's here. If I have some problems to select the good material, it's very simple. I just grab this little ball here and add the good material. Okay. And now, if I wanted to add some normal kind of wood, I could just take those here. Well, this one, for instance. But what's interesting right now is to see how to create new material and then how simple it is to create a new material in Meshroom. So to do so, you just need to click on here on create a new material. I can, with two hotkeys, put it a bit higher here. Okay, so let's create a new material hitting this button. So to create a new material, we need a texture, just one texture. So you click here on the image and we will get to the bureau. You can go maybe on the web and download any kind of texture. For instance, let's do it together. I'm going on the web and oak texture. Okay, this one is cool. So the first one works with everything. So I save it here, oak. Okay. So now that we're here, I just click here, I go on my bureau and open the texture that we've been downloading together. So now I got my material was created, and with those big reflection as a very glossy wood doesn't work. Well, it's not what I'm expecting. So we just click on auto generate texture here button, and it's gonna act as a 3D artist who's gonna take the texture and do all the thing that he would have done in Photoshop in order to transform this first texture into this second texture, so this color map to a reflection map. And this is very useful for people who have no, well, who are not experts in 3D configuration. We also can do the same with this button for the bump mat, which is the deepness of the things here. And if I move a little bit up the scale, you can see that everyone in 5 seconds is able to create from scratch a material. So this is very interesting to see that with one single diffuse texture, one single color texture that you can take with a smartphone, that you can just download from the internet. With this single texture, we will generate automatically with some other algorithm the relevant texture for the reflection and the bump. Okay, so let's save this material. Wood test. Novedge. Up. And now up, we got this nice food that we've been building together. Okay. So here we are. And right now we want to maybe to create some nice picture of what we've been doing here. So just to do so, I just hit this little HDR button to choose my HDR, and we're going to choose one which is a bit special, because when you download Meshroom, it comes with a series of HDR files, and this one is very interesting because you can do some interesting pictures. You can see here that we got. Let's begin the presentation of this environment editor. We got here the background of the environment. I can hit on or off. So this is the actual look of the HDR that I've been importing. But I can also mask this element and just replace it by a standard color that I can change here. So it can make very interesting and realistic results. Okay. And then I can also control the intensity of the reflection, the brightness. So for people who are very expert in texture, etc., they can use those tools. But for people who don't have the use of them, everything is correctly parametered. So they don't have to bother. So we have always two ways of understanding Meshroom. The very easy mode for people who don't know anything about 3D computing, and the other one who can be expert and who will find their way with the standard way to create some 3D files. I also can change my material, keeping the same HDR. So if I click here, you see that I lose my HDR, but if I click here on show HDR, up, I can see still my HDR, and here change my materials. Let's get, for instance, this wood material, which was maybe nicer to create my pictures. Okay, so I now move to the HDR editor, and here I got some cool tools to take some screenshots and to enhance my pictures. So here, my screenshot, I can use some cool features like distortion of the images to create some field of view, or also other option like the depth of field. It's going to create a blur in some kind of distance. So here you can see that I'm focusing on the back, and here I'm approaching here in the front. And there I can just click here and hit this little camera and say that I've been saving a 4K picture on my desktop. So that's a super cool feature. I will deactivate depth of field. But you see that they are very interesting feature. If you hit on tab, it hides everything. So you can manipulate your 3D object, and using Shift and E, you can make it rotate. It's very interesting because, as well, unfortunately, you can see how smooth it is to use Meshroom, but for me, it's like hundreds of frames per second, so it's very smooth to use, and it's a perfect video. So if you stream this video on your computer, you can directly record a video without any time of rendering. So that's very interesting. And so those little tools like rotation in any kind of way, or just sliding. If I can move here, I can slide here. You see, you can create some smashing videos within seconds. It's very simple. All right. So I think we got a cool seat here. As I said, it's a multi-body object. So the main body is this one. So if I move the parent object, I move both of them. But if I only move the child, I can click on the child and here move it with the gizmo, rotate, move it a little bit like that. Can do whatever I want. Can change also this. Yep. Let's go, for instance, to the beach. Here you can validate your object. So this is interesting also to see that we can change some and control the reflection and also the shadows. So can here move the intensity of the shadows, because to make a cool integration, you have to move all those parameters to make it look more realistic. And also the intensity and this elevation of the sun, you can, whenever you want, to move the environment this way, and it's very cool. So here we are. Okay. So let's say that we are happy with this, with those files. And there is another cool thing about Meshroom, is that apart from those HDR custom environment that I've been showing you, we also have created some super cool 3D environments. For instance, this loft. If I click here, you're going to see that we're creating some environment you can move into and compare your object with other objects that are inside the application. And for instance, many of the designers who work with us love this showroom because they can compare the size of what they're working on. For instance, this armchair. So I will move, take this controller back. Okay. So here is my little trigger. I grab my object, and with this big button here, I can move here and, for instance, go to the kitchen and put it into the kitchen. So interesting to put it in the kitchen. Let's compare it with other things, like, for instance, in this room, I can see in a nice environment the size of my chair just next to realistic objects. So with this, I can compare the proportion, the exact proportion, and how it's going to look inside any kind of environment. So very interesting. And as I say, you can move both of them if I grab the parent, but also I can just move the child here, and when I release it, when I release the trigger, it's going to stay and float on forward. And we got those interesting intelligent option that will maybe, if I click here, ground snap. So it detects the volumes of the thing you are approaching, and it makes, you know, the thing that you want it to do, but instead of doing a more or less up, it snaps perfectly on the ground. That's it. Let's get it back here. Okay. Let's see if we can do this nice. Can move all those colors. All right. So I think we've done with this fine. And okay. And the third and maybe last example that I wanted to show you would be this one. Oh, actually, there are two of them I want to show. this one is a bike, which is cool because also a really mechanical product design. Just let's see how it feels and how realistic it is. So let's get this scenario. Okay, and here as we, so we can show or hide the background as we want, and use depth of field. Okay, let's focus on this part right here. Okay, make it disappear, and here you can see that within seconds you can create photorealistic videos of your products, and it's very smooth with your clients. You can discuss, just put the flow out and discuss of the light proportion. A very interesting thing about realism is that your brain is detecting the volumes when you got some light information. All the designers who are hearing this this video know that the way the light moves when you move your head gives a lot of information about the volumes. So even people who don't see very well in 3D are, thanks to this realism, very close to the reality, so they understand much better the shape and proportion, even not in VR. So you can see that you can use Meshroom without the headsets, and you already have very interesting vision of reality. So let's open the last file. It's going to be more industrial file. So it's this one, I think. So if I don't read you the all import, I just need to click on the project, and you see how fast it is. For instance, if I've taken 1 minute or 2 minutes to import my file, it's going to be maybe 15 seconds to open it then in Meshroom. It's very, very fast. And here up, I get to the material editor, so we can see this production line, this chassis production line, this automatic chassis, and see how important it is to use realistic materials. Okay, so here you see that with those elements you can understand perfectly which are parts. So let's select like this industrial environment. Okay. So you can see here that just by the fact of having realistic rendering, you can understand very well the shapes and the volumes of what you're doing, even if you don't see the proportion yet, because you're not in virtual reality. And with this little depth of field thing, you can focus on some points or other points, and it's very interesting. Okay, so I'm going to VR as everything is set up. So you've seen that within maybe 30 seconds, and Meshroom is able to open a very heavy scene, which is created by Katya SolidWorks, and put it into the virtual reality in seconds. So here we are. Yep. See my object. So where's my? Okay. Yep. Up. So I could take my elevator up to put it at the right position. Okay. And now I move inside the plant here, and I can check directly in my headset the exact proportion of what I'm building. And this is the most amazing thing in Meshroom, is to be able to watch in VR what you've been preparing and rendering before. And there I can take my measure tool, and it's very interesting for people who are working here. You can see the distance between the parts and the robots for operators to feel if it's safe to work in those lines. If the people who have to clean the floor will have the enough room to come with the machines, and all of this little stuff are something for very difficult to detect if the operators don't tell the thing, because all the engineers in the conception bureaus are maybe don't know all those field things, or many things can be hard to focus. And here with this elevator, I can move up and down. So here is it. So I think it's much all about it. Maybe to say a last word that we can't see it right now because we don't have other user right now, but we can make multi-user mode, so we can be about well, there's no limit, but 5 person, 10 person, 20 person in the same room, and around the same object, and you will see the headset and the controllers of your of the other people in the meeting, and talk about the 3D5 turnaround, etc. So it's very interesting. Okay, and maybe I think it's all about it. If you want to ask some question, I'll be very happy to answer it.
Yes, André, thank you so much. So we have a couple of questions, and I'm going to read it to you, and also I just assigned it to you so you can visualize it on your control panel. First question is, can you add textures and decals to the model, or do they have to be part of the exported model? And yeah.
Oh, well, it's a very good question. So both of them are possible. As you've seen, if you've got some texture on the model, we read them, but then you can also create your own material that I think we've seen it after. But there's this good question. We also can here use some PBR models, PBR textures. So for people who are used to use kind of texture like that, you can add texture here. No, this one. So this one, for instance, this is a PBR texture. So if you have your 3 kinds of texture and you're you can download that on the Substance website, for instance, Substance Designer, and you can easily create your own materials with texture coming from other softwares. So we keep the texture that are coming from other software, but we also can create them from scratch. So both of them are possible.
Great. And I think you might have already answered to that during the second part of the presentation. Any animation or turntable?
Well, the turntable, as you've seen, we got it. We can just hit a certain key, and the model is going to turn. And there are some other cool features who are arriving very soon for recording all those turntable and translation. So, and then those are cool things. In terms of animation, you can grab objects in virtual reality, and we will also soon be able to play animations that you've been recording in your CAD software. So for people who are masters of SolidWorks or Maya or 3ds Max, and who actually know how to animate things, it will be very soon taken into consideration.
Well, this is great news. And is it possible to put a full scenery and a walk around?
What would be a walk around? I'm sorry, I don't understand the
Yes,
question.
I'm having, yeah, probably maybe an environment where you can walk around. I don't know, Elvio, if you can. Yes.
Yes, because all that we've been seeing are very small objects. But as I said, we've got some clients who are creating buildings or very big boats, and so you drag and drop your file, and then with the teleport option, with this button with this little circle, this blue circle that you've seen, you can move around and teleport from one room to another or one floor to another, and then you can also move and get up and down with the elevator, and also move on other floors. So you can clearly import very big files, very tall files, and walk around it.
Yes, Alveo means to put a full 3D CAD scenery and walk in that. Is that?
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. I didn't think somebody would invent a teleport in my lifetime, and here it is. That's wonderful. And yeah, these are the questions for now. I just want to add that it's fantastic to get a true sense of an object in the environment. It's really different from watching it on a screen. And if you ever shopped online for objects, you know what I mean, the disappointment when you get them at home. So it gives you a big edge when you're designing something to see it in a real situation. That's
Great.
my experience with Mushroom. So, and
No,
no, so the question, these are all the questions. And if you don't mind, Andrea, I'm going to take the screen back so I can wrap up the presentation. And I want to show everybody where they can find Mushroom VR. There's different solutions there's a Mushroom Studio for freelancer, there's a Pro, there's a Pro Pack Collaborative, and the Pro Pack Design. So check out all the possible configuration, and don't forget to visit novedge.com, but also like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, where you can find the latest and the greatest news on 3D software and design. And I'm reminding everybody that I'm recording this presentation so you can watch it again or share with friends, colleagues, bosses. Just come on over on the Novedge YouTube and Vimeo channel. Thanks again for the very exciting demo today, Andre, and looking forward to future webinars already. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.